I like to think of life as a race with a starting point and a finishing line. The day we were born is the day we started the race. Our death brings us to the finish line. But this race of ours is not a sprint or 100 meters dash. It is a marathon. Whether you agree with me or not, the fact still remains that every day that you are alive is an indication that you are still on the track. As long as you are alive, you have been called to a race. And as you start this race, make sure you know the rules of the race. You can easily be disqualified if you fail to keep to the rules. Nobody cares about who you are or how far you have come. As far as you have gone contrary to the rules, you will be disqualified. Every athlete is aware that doping is a serious crime in athletics. The moment you are caught or found guilty, you will be disqualified. Doesn't matter the number of medals you have amassed or the name you have built for yourself on the track. Nobody is above the rules. Once you are discovered, you risk losing everything you have ever worked for. You need to check your life and ask yourself whether there are substances you have been taking to enhance your performance when you know they are contrary to the rules of the race. Are you given to drunkenness or eating of unhealthy foods because they satisfy your taste buds? Every athlete knows that not every food or drink or drug must ever be taken by him or her because of how detrimental they can be to his or her health and performance on the track. The Bible tells us in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, who by faith have testified to the truth of God's absolute faithfulness, stripping off every unnecessary weight and the sin which so easily and cleverly entangles us, run with endurance and active persistence the race that is set before us." As you run the race of life, make sure you stick to your lane. There is a race set before every one of us. At the same time, we all have our individual lanes marked out for us. Do not dabble about another person's lane. What this means is that we have all been called into distinct ministries, roles and functions. Our gifts and talents also differ. The reason why there is strife and jealousy and so much competition in the world today is because many of us have abandoned our lanes and are trying to run in other people's lanes. You will never succeed in life if you keep doing that. Get off another person's lane. Face your God-given tasks and assignments. Focus on what God has called you to do and leave for others what belongs to them. In other words, maintain your lane. We have every reason to run this race we have been called into because there are so many people who are watching us and encouraging us to victory. They are the cloud of witnesses who have surrounded us on every side. They are our friends, parents, siblings, neighbors, church members, colleagues, associates, partners, classmates and mentors. For many people, we are like models who are pointing the way for them. Our failures may not only discourage them from running their race, but it can also set a bad example for them. Are you actually living your life according to God's plan and pattern? Are your parents proud of the person you have become? Do you model a life for others to follow? Is your life lived in keeping with the godly instructions of those who have raised you in faith and also those who have gone ahead of you? Are you living according to the good examples set for you by your predecessors? As you run the race of life, consider all of the people who are watching you from the bleachers. Athletes do not run with any kind of clothes. There are special kits fashioned for athletes. These kits are made in such a way that they allow the runners maximum room to breathe well and run freely. No athlete runs a marathon in tight kits or with a coat, suit and tie. When the writer of Hebrews was saying we should strip ourselves of unnecessary weight and the sin that entangles, he was invariably saying we cannot afford to run this race of life with the coats of sinful lifestyles and the suits of addictions and the ties of past troubles and present problems. There is so much you will need to let go of if you will get to the end of the race. Those baggage and entanglements and weights must go. You need to be light and free to get to the finishing line. You must never allow anything to slow you down. Check your life and fish out those things that are slowing you down. Are there addictions that you do not seem to know how to get free from? Are there past hurts and resentments that you are still holding? Get rid of them and run your race. Finally, because the race you have been called to run is a long-distance race, you need to train yourself to build the stamina needed to complete the race. The Bible encourages us to run with endurance and persistence. These qualities are built over time, through training. That is why the Apostle Paul wrote us, "But have nothing to do with irreverent folklore and silly myths." On the other hand, discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness, keeping yourself spiritually fit. For physical training is of some value, but godliness, spiritual training, is of value in everything and in every way, since it holds promise for the present life and for the life to come. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 to 8. In other words, subject yourself to the rigorous training required to run the race of life. Only then will you make it to the finish line.